What's up, everybody? Smoove Cosplayer here, your favorite salsa dancer cosplayer, bringing you another episode of Smoove Conversations. Tonight, my special guest is my brother in cosplay, my brother in G.I. Joe fandom, my brother in so many other things, Mr. Don Mosley. Don, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, Myron, brother. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. So let me ask you, man, when did you fall in love with costuming or cosplay?
I guess I fell into it, me being in the film industry. I've seen so many different people, dressed up, from all the Marvel stuff and The Walking Dead. And then I caught on to the whole Dragon Con thing. And it just, my daughter was really started to take off into the G.I. Joe stuff. And
nice.
She picked up my love of it. And of course, Tristan loved it. And so I said, well, let's try it out. So we started making costumes for her, and then we went to Joe Fest or Joe Atlanta one year, and we met some of the people from the finest. And Larry Hama really took to my daughter being into it, and really encouraged her to, pursue it more. And so she has, as everybody pretty much knows. And she was accepted into the finest, and then it's grew from there. So I guess it started off with my career, and then it just elevated up to us cosplaying now. So I enjoy it. I enjoy the culture. I enjoy the community. It's so neat, like there's people that bounce ideas off of us, and we bounce ideas off of them. It's a great community. It's a great thing to get into. It's a real family oriented.
Yeah. Amen to that, dude. How does it feel to, like, because you told me, Larry Hama himself, like, encouraged your daughter to keep going and was impressed with her work. How does it feel to have, one of the creators of something you loved growing up look at something your daughter did and be like, this is awesome?
It was such a thrill I had met him before back in the early 2000s, and just talking to him about, everything from his experiences in Vietnam to coming back home and starting the whole G.I. Joe thing. And it was really, really cool just to talk to him about that. But then when he seen my daughter, and here's this, 6-year-old little girl that's dressed up like CoverGirl. And I mean, of course, we went everything detail oriented. We had it all right for her outfit. And he was just really impressed of her knowledge of the brand, her knowledge of the character, and just how enthusiastic she was about cosplaying that day. So he was just really, really into it. And actually, it really helped, fuel her up more to do more. And of course, what all she's done so far. So it's been really, really neat having him as an inspiration to her as well.
Amen to that. So her having kind of gotten you into the cosplay, and her taking after your fandoms, did you have to do any encouraging with her, like, hey babe, this is thing that I like, you want to get into it too? Or did she just see it and just gravitate to it on her own?
Not really. Tristan, my son, he was really into G.I. Joe and Batman as a kid, still is, and Transformers. He loves Transformers. Yeah. But he was really into G.I. Joe, and then it's kind of like his love of it kind of carried over to her, and they would play together, with my old figures and his figures and stuff. And it grew into that. A lot of people nowadays, it's easy to set a kid in front of an iPad. It's easy to set a kid in front of a TV, but back when we were kids, we voiced the figures, we played with them, we posed them, we set up the battles, and it was more of a creative mind. And I guess I kind of instilled that into my kids, so they would, at least have that sort of mindset and creativity where they would want to do something like that. And then it just it fell into place. That's how it happened.
Yeah, man, it's so funny being kind of overlapping with these two generations. So like you said, we played with our own toys, we voiced the characters, we made up all the little battles and scenarios. But then we also got some of what this generation has, the the gaming, the I guess the social media now, all that kind of stuff. Like it's weird. I kind of feel like I have a foot in, one foot in the door, one foot out the door, one foot in the water.
I do as well. You know, and one thing about it, you think about our generation, we've seen it from the album,
yeah,
to the 8-track, to the cassette,
oh man,
to the CD,
man,
to the Laserdisc. Now, you know, back MP3.
Wow.
And now we're going back to albums. I mean, you go to like Criminal Records now, it's nothing but 12-inch vinyl again.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we've come full circle. But look at all the technology that our generation has seen. We've seen pretty much everything, you know.
Man, I was just thinking, like, I never thought that. So you know how we had tapes, right? When I was old enough to remember anything, tapes was what was in, and then eventually CDs came along, and I never thought that the thing that made tapes obsolete would become obsolete even quicker. Because now I have a friend who used to work with some kids, I guess middle school, high school age maybe. He's about my age. I'm 38 now. He's maybe 37, something like that. And this was around the time where I guess Beyonce's last album came out. So he's chatting with these kids and he says, "Oh, didn't Beyonce just drop a CD?" And they were like, "What's the CD?"
Yeah. Everything now is complete download. It's like if you want a new album now, you go to iTunes and you download it. I mean, it's nothing like it used to be.
Yeah, you remember when what was it, Napster, the first thing that kind of set it off?
That's right.
Because it was free back then, so everybody was like, "Oh, it's pirating," all that kind of stuff. And now, I don't know, do we get iTunes if we never got Napster?
I don't think so. I think Napster was kind of the forefront of all of it, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, look at automobiles now. You can't find an automobile now that has a CD player in it, you know.
Yeah.
I still drive stuff that's got CD and tape players in it. So
I remember those, man. I remember those days. Woof.
But it's you go to buy a new car now, everything is MP3.
Yeah, I remember buying a car and thinking, okay, I at least need an aux cable. So like I had an Impala with the aux cable and a CD player, but it didn't have it.
Right.
Now, shoot, do you even get aux cable? Well, I guess you do get aux cables now, but now everything is connected with Bluetooth.
Yeah, everything's pretty much Bluetooth now. We've got a new GTI Volkswagen, and everything's Bluetooth with it. I mean, set your phone up on the dash, and it connects, and all your music and everything is right there. So it's nothing like it used to be.
Wow, seeing all this change. Speaking of old stuff, what was your favorite G.I. Joe figure and favorite vehicle?
So my favorite figure, my first figure was Short Fuse. I got Short Fuse and for my birthday in April of '82, and it just, the whole thing. My dad was military. All my family and relatives were military, so it kind of just it launched off from there, and then I started getting more and more figures. I really liked Gung Ho, and I'll tell you how big of a fan I was of G.I. Joe, and how my parents were with me. You couldn't find Gung Ho anywhere in Metro Atlanta. Lionel Playworld, Toys R Us, KB. I mean, it was hard to get him in '83.
Dang.
And so my parents called a Walgreens drugstore in Cleveland, Tennessee, and they had one. And my dad asked if they would hold it till Saturday morning, and they took me there for my birthday in 1983 and bought me Gung Ho from the Cleveland, Tennessee Walgreens.
Wow.
So that's how much I collected those figures.
That's love right there.
We went all the way to Macon. Of course, I grew up in Forest Park, but we went all the way to Macon to get Storm Shadow at Lionel Playworld in Macon.
Wow.
I mean, it was just collecting them back then was, you didn't have the internet. It wasn't, it wasn't as fast and easy just to get on the internet, find something, you know, pay a price and get it. You actually had to get out there, go to different stores, find it. Exactly. You know, call Toys R Us. You know, I'll never forget the phone number, 961-1311. I called it every Wednesday when they got their Hasbro orders in, you know, to see what figures they had. I know they got tired of me calling, but it was just, it was the hunt. It was the thrill of it. It was the hunt. It was the chase, you know, and I like Gung Ho, but my all-time favorite G.I. Joe figure had to be the 86 General Hawk. That figure to me just set the bar. I mean, that solidified the leadership of them, of the Joe team. You know, the leather jacket was just cool. The camo pants, you know, the pistol. It was just, that figure to me was the figure that I had to have.
Yeah.
As far as vehicles, there, you know, everybody, of course, is going to throw out the flag. I mean, the flag was just synonymous. But to me, the whale was the vehicle. Yes. I love the whale. I mean, it was the hovercraft, land, air, or land and sea. It came with cutter. It held so many figures. You know, and a lot of kids that couldn't get, you know, the huge USS flag, you got the whale. I mean, it was a huge toy, you know, to have, and it was just so cool. You know, it was cool in the comic. It was cool in the cartoon. It was just a cool toy to own. You know, you play with it in the swimming pool in the backyard. You play with it in the bathtub, or, you know, you could push it around your bedroom floor. I mean, it was a cool toy. So I got to say the 85 whale was my favorite toy. And then, of course, Hawk was my favorite figure.
Man, that whale, that was one of the ones I always wanted but never got. I knew a friend that had it, but that's about as close as I got to it.
Right.
And, what's another one that I never got? You remember the Mobile Command Center? This is getting later on, like towards the late 80s.
Yes, the tan Mobile Command Center. Yeah,
that had to have been inspired by the Sandcrawler.
You know, I've always thought that ever since it came out, and I've seen it, you know, in the little fold-out pamphlets that came with the vehicles, you know, in the new year. I always thought that. I was fortunate enough to get that as well. Of course, that was later on into the G.I. Joe era. And I collected them all the way until '94. That's kind of when when they started getting into the space monsters and things like that, that kind of just, it drew the line with me. The comics, you know, I collected the comics the whole run of the Marvel stuff. And that's something I want to talk about. Devil's Due came back with G.I. Joe in early 2000, you know, with the comics.
Right.
To me, they've done that whole storyline justice. I know Hama doesn't want to recognize it. neither does anybody else, but Devil's Due did an awesome job with the G.I. Joe brand in the comics. They had that. They had the front line. You know, it was kind of like the G.I. Joe Special Missions. To me, Devil's Due did a justice to what Marvel did at the end of the run. To me, when they started mixing the Transformers in, and then Snake Eyes became this super ninjas, almost like godlike.
Yeah. You
know, it got far-fetched and got really out of the realm of the whole military, you know, thing that was based on.
Right.
And I kind of frowned on that. Now, they kind of reeled it back towards the, you know, like issue 130 and up. You know, they kind of reeled it back, but it got so far-fetched, it was like almost like it was too far gone. And I hated that. You know, that's always bothered me about the Marvel thing. You know, and then when Devil's Due came out in 2000, or 2001, they really put a lot of emphasis back on the military part. They put a lot of backstory with Snake Eyes. He wasn't the super, you know, godlike ninja. I mean, he had the Serpentor offspring Hannibal stick it to him one time, and Wraith, the guy with the invisible suit that Destro made, stuck it to him. But he just, to me, that whole Devil's Due storyline was just awesome.
Wow. I need to dive into that, because I've been on this whole, for the past few years, like just going back and diving into the comics that I never got into. Because with both G.I. Joe and Transformers, I grew up on the cartoon. and the
Right.
toys never got to get into the comics just because I never had a decent allowance, so I might get a comic here and a comic there.
Right.
Never like got to follow the storyline. So as an adult, you know how they say when you're an adult, go back and do the stuff that you couldn't do as a kid. So
That's correct.
Along with collecting the Transformers suit, but I got a chance to see just how awesome the G.I. Joe comics were, like how much I was missing out by only getting the cartoon. Like, and of course, in hindsight, I realized they had to change some things because it was a kid's audience,
right?
The audience for the cartoon. So there's certain things that weren't going to come over, but like seeing how they changed so much, and like there's so much we missed out on, like people legitimately dying in the comics. Like I read about the the whole all the Cobra Commander's enemies getting buried on a ship on the
freighter on Cobra Island.
Yeah. So I'm reading the trading cards about that, and my little 9-year-old mind, as I'm reading this is like 89, 90, 91, something like that, and I'm reading about it, and I'm like, how do you get buried on a ship on an island under a volcano? It like that didn't compute to me. Then I got to read it last year. I'm like, oh, that's how that happened.
Yeah, that whole storyline was, I mean, it was kind of ruthless. And then you had the Saw Viper who killed all the Joes. And
I read it, but then I read about it, but then to actually see it, I'm like, oh, that was nasty.
Yeah, but you think about it, it's like you said, the cartoon had to have the flair for kids because it came on, in Metro Atlanta, it came on Channel 46 every day at 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say, oh, only G.I. Joe come on Saturday. Well, in Atlanta, it come on every day, Monday through Friday at 3:30 on Channel 46. But, the comic was so military-like.
Yeah.
Even from the very first issue, them rescuing Dr. Burkhart from Cobra Commander and the Baroness, that whole thing set up, was military, and that's what was really cool because, like I said, my family was military, my dad was military, it was just that whole thing was just military laid out. You had all the different branches that were in the Joe team, and then it never really got far-fetched until it got later on into the years.
Yeah.
But it kind of stuck with it. I mean, you look at Stalker, Storm Shadow, and Snake Eyes. They're in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And then and that brings me to what happened last night. They dropped the Snake Eyes trailer. And me and Tristan were discussing this earlier today. Tristan's upset because, he don't have his face blown off, and he's didn't, but the thing about it is, you can't use that storyline because Snake Eyes would be 70 years old now.
Right.
If he was in Vietnam, so you got to kind of change with the times to capture the audience.
Exactly.
And plus, I'm really looking forward to it because I hope it's going to bring a new audience in, to more brand recognition. You look at what Fortnite's done for Snake Eyes in the last 2 months.
Right.
Since that character's been on there. I mean, now kids are starting to go back and look, oh, Snake Eyes, he's a ninja, he don't talk, he got his face blown off. Well, this is cool,
Right.
It's almost like they kind of symbolize with him like Deadpool, messed up face, dressed like Deadpool, but he's all black, he's a ninja. Well, they're all into it, But it's bringing brand recognition back to the G.I. Joe brand because we lost that for a long time.
Yeah. I love how you say, you gotta have to acknowledge that it's changing with the times. G.I. Joe actually helped me grow in my fandom because I used to. I'm pretty sure you've seen from my recent videos how I talk about how I used to be that angry fanboy. Like I wasn't like blowing up the artists. I wasn't like leaving nasty comments, but in my head I'm like, you effed up all of this, you messed this up, you messed that up. But realizing just how G.I. Joe and like the comics and the cartoon were happening roughly at the same time, and there's no issue in the comics that correlates to an episode in the cartoon. So we got the same, roughly the same characters, but it's almost like I started to realize it's really two different timelines, two different continuities going on at the same time.
Exactly.
So it helped me to realize that this has always been happening. Like everything, anytime something crosses a medium, it's a different timeline. It's a different reality, basically.
Well, and another thing is, that really, okay, if they based it strictly off of how it was in the comics,
yeah,
okay, we would already expect it.
Right. Yeah, we gotta have.
It's kind of like, me working on The Walking Dead. Yeah, I've read all the graphic novels, but we still don't know who's going to die. It's not to the T what the storyline was in the comics.
Yeah,
there's some variances. It's the same, but it's just not. It's not to it. And it would be boring because you sit there and be like, oh, I know it's fixing to happen. Negan fixing glass, bash Glenn's head in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here it goes.
Exactly.
Exactly. So that's the thing with G.I. Joe. We can't sit here and say, oh, I know what's fixing to happen. He's fixing to save Scarlett in that helicopter. Watch this. He's gonna get his face blown off. Now we don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
Because you've got to switch it up. If you don't, you're not gonna have a movie that everybody's gonna want to go and sit down and see. They've already read it in a comic book.
Right.
It's just like with Transformers. When Transformers come out, first thing I was automatically just stark raving mad about. Bumblebee wasn't a Volkswagen Bug.
Right.
Bumblebee's a Camaro. It's like, man, what is this?
Yeah.
Come on now. But you look at what they've done with that whole franchise. I mean, it's been really successful for the way Michael Bay and all those have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be some different timelines, even with Marvel, even with DC. I mean, you have to have different continuums, because if you don't, if it's the same with everything, you're going to lose the big, broad audience that you're trying to capture.
Right. And I don't envy their job at all, because there's so much you got to do with it. Like you said, you gotta keep it new, because as much as we want the fanboy stuff, as much as we want the fan service, when you really boil it down, we're going to be bored if we get the same exact thing every single time. But you also don't want to change it so much that it ceases to be the same thing anymore. Like, you're like,
right.
It's one thing to, like you said, keep up with the times, making Bumblebee a Camaro and not a Beetle, making Optimus Prime a cab forward engine instead of a forward cab engine instead of a cab over engine.
Right.
Making, Starscream a F-22 and not a F-15. Changes like that, because it has to be current. Like you said with Snake Eyes, we can't do the whole Vietnam thing. He'd be too old.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes me wonder how we're going to do Magneto on X-Men. Like, his whole thing was being a Holocaust survivor. That's not going to work, because
can't do that now.
Yeah, the MCU is a few years ahead of where we are now. So he really can't be that same character. So I'm like, how are they going to do that? So, but yeah, like, when you change it so much, that one thing I always hate is when you just take a character's name and just slap it on this character, where it's like, you're like, what's a good example? My mind is really going blank. I can't think of people right now, but basically, like, wow, this person has Crosshairs was a good one. Did you see Transformers: Age of Extinction?
Yes.
So Crosshair is the green one.
Right.
His Crosshairs only in name. He looks nothing like the original Crosshairs. He doesn't act like the original Crosshairs. Like, at least with Drift, he doesn't, he looks the same. They changed the color scheme. They made him a triple changer, which I liked and disliked. But at least he was still somewhat the same character. Whereas some of the other ones, it's like, yeah, that he has that character's name, but nothing else matches. So when they start going way left and, me as a director, my vision is more important than the source material. We start doing stuff like that. That's when I'm like, come on, dude. Like, don't. Yes, bring in the new fans, but don't alienate the old fans.
Correct.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, I don't envy that job, because it's so hard to hit that sweet spot. It's so hard to not do too much of this and not enough of that. So yeah, it's crazy. And you know what? Walking Dead helped me with that too. Now that you bring that up, that really helped me to see that they do have to switch it up, because I became a fan of the TV show first.
Right.
That led me to go back and look at the comics. So I have a few graphic novels, but I mostly would read about the storyline. So I already knew whenever the storyline would come up in the show, I knew roughly what was supposed to happen, but I also knew that they were going to change it enough to where, like you said, oh yeah, Glenn's about to get his head bashed in. Oh snap, they did Abraham. Okay, I guess it's going to be Abraham. Oh, and Glenn, you know.
Right.
If they stuck with the comics, that would have not had the same shock value.
No. You know, it's like with Norman's character of Daryl Dixon.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
not even
never in the comics. You know, the closest thing to Daryl in the comics would be Dwight.
Right.
You know, he was kind of Rick's right-hand man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a really good addition to the show. You know, it brought in the female fan base.
Yeah.
It brought in the young guys, you know, that we got to have something for the young guys to like.
Right.
You know, and then even with them, with what they did with Rick, you know, I mean, because Rick lasted, you know, pretty much the whole series in the comic, but then, you know, in the TV show, you know, of course, Andy had to leave and go back overseas, and they cut him out for a little while to do the movies, but still, you know, we didn't expect Rick Grimes to end up off the show like that. I mean, he was the main character that the whole series was evolved around. So
yeah. So you worked on Walking Dead, right? Like, were you there from the start, or did you come in?
Season two. Season two.
Okay, cool. What was that like, getting to work with such a iconic show now?
It was really strange because I got into the film industry by accident, building the Mustangs for The Getaway with Ethan Hawke, Selena Gomez.
Okay.
They had started making Shelby clones, and a friend of mine asked me to come up there and look at them. And when I got up there, they asked, you know, does this look like a Shelby clone? I'm like, no. I said, it's not lowered. It don't have Brembo brakes. It don't have white back face gauges. It doesn't have the, you know, the Cobra badge on the horn button. It's still got a running pony. I says, this is not going to cut it. So they said, can you have 3 of these cars done in 2 weeks to look like Shelby clones? How much would it cost? I give them a price. They cut me a check, and that's how I got into the film industry.
Nice.
So the 3 Mustangs that were used in The Getaway are not real Shelbys. They're actually GT clones.
Wow.
So it went from that to the Vampire Diaries, and then I started on the 5th Fast and Furious. And then I started doing Marvel stuff, Iron Man's and the Avengers, Spider-Man, all the vehicles in it. But with The Walking Dead, they wanted me to do like custom fabrication, and so that's how I got into that, and just basically servicing the vehicles that they have, and dirtying up vehicles. Like, they'll put out a call sheet for like certain vehicles. And then when you get the call sheet, we set them in the field and we pressure wash beside them to blow dirt and everything up on it. When it dries, it looks like it's been sitting for years, you know. So that's how that's done. But it was really neat and really surreal. I fabricated the bow rack for Norman's second bike that he used, the Honda, and that was a really neat project I got involved with. But it's neat seeing them. I mean, it's neat seeing how the prosthetics and everything are put on. It's a very tedious job. Everybody's like, oh, well, you know, it's probably easy to be a zombie, but you actually go through zombie school.
Yeah.
They train you to walk. They train you to moan. They train you to keep hydrated, because, you know, all that prosthetics on in the heat is terrible. And you figure that they're experiencing twice as much body heat.
This is in Georgia now.
Yeah, so it's rough on them. I mean, they earn their money doing that, but it's really neat. I'm really humbled to be a part of the Walking Dead universe and have, you know, just some small minor things that I've done involved in the show, and it's really, really neat. Got to take, you know, my kids down and see, you know, everything down there. just like with the Vampire Diaries, and over at the Marvel sets over at Pine Woods, and it's pretty neat.
Now, are you working on any of the new stuff that's coming out?
She-Hulk.
Okay.
And the second Venom movie.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the Venom Carnage that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. It's weird. I hear so many people not liking the fact that Woody Harrelson is Carnage. Well, when I saw him at the end of the first one, I'm like, that was perfect to me. I don't see how that's not perfect.
You couldn't pick a better person to be Carnage. I mean, at the end of the day, Woody Harrelson seems like a deranged individual, and that's how Carnage was. Even so it's I think they've got the right cast, and I think that Tom makes a really good Eddie Brock. I mean,
I mean, not to diss Tom, but like anybody was better than Topher Grace being Venom the first time. I mean, I like Topher Grace, but he wasn't the right person for Venom. Like,
no.
What made me further realize that? Do you remember Predators?
Yes.
So realizing that was the same dude who played the doctor in Predators, I was like, this was not the right person for Venom. He's a great actor. I love that job he did, but yeah, we needed somebody, because especially with what you see in the comics and what you see in the cartoon, like Eddie Brock being some like, it's like even without the symbiote, y'all don't crucify me on the pronunciation, y'all. I know that's a sore spot for people, but even before Venom, like he was a pretty swole cock diesel looking dude, He
was, yeah.
And for him to be like just sniveling, mild mannered looking Topher Grace like that, I'm like, no. But they didn't give that enough time. Similar to how I feel about how they did Apocalypse, how they did how they did Phoenix. It's like certain things, when you try to cram it into one movie, you can't really do it justice. It's something that
that's one thing that really upset me about the Batman versus Superman. They had too much going on. They had Doomsday, they had Wonder Woman. Yeah. When it first started out, they had the whole Frank Miller 86 incorporated in with Bruce just having a hard-on for Clark, and that was, to me, that was starting to be a good movie. And then they started cramming up way too much at the end, and it just, I wish DC would take a look at, just step back. It's like this Zack Snyder Justice League they just come out with. I mean, they should have rolled with that first.
Right.
They would have regained their audience from the Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this on this side, a lot of times it has nothing to do with the director. It has nothing to do with, the studio. You have this big corporation that's saying, hey, we need to do it like X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Because you've got toys, you've got shirts, you've got Happy Meals. You have all these things that are banking on this blockbuster to be this huge phenomenon.
Yeah.
So that's why they have a lot of influence on a lot of things.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Late last year, I read it's this book called Previously on X-Men, where it's like this big, huge dive into the making of X-Men, the animated series. And there's just everything you just said, from like the product placement, this company wants this company wants that, we need to make toys, we need to make Happy Meals, we need to make this, we need to make that. There were so many of those hands that wanted in on that cartoon, and the creators fought their damnedest to like keep those hands out of the pot.
Right.
I'm y'all, please know that I am not trying to crap on Stan Lee's name, but there's even a lot of talk in that book about how Stan Lee wanted to like take the reins of X-Men the animated series and do things his way. And they were like, dude, you haven't written for anything since like the 60s, and you've never done a cartoon, and you want to do this cartoon the way you've written things. And it's like, it's not going to work. Like he wanted to do an intro at the beginning of every episode where it was him on camera talking about what's about to happen in the episode and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I get like what you said makes perfect sense. There's so many things so many different interests, so many different egos, so many different things that want this movie or this show to do this and do that. And it's just like, if you listen to everything, then it takes away from what the thing is supposed to really be about. And then therefore you have what you said, Batman vs Superman. And
then you look at things like Stranger Things. Like, okay, so the Duffer Brothers have put together this film, this short story film, 8 episodes, and look at the phenomenal success it's had. You know, they didn't have any huge tie-ins on the first season. They didn't have, I mean, you didn't see all this stuff, marketing blow up like, you know, there was with season 2 and season 3. And that became a successful franchise. But I will say that there's one thing, you look at G.I. Joe Resolute. Mm-hmm. When they came out with that, it was a cartoon on Adult Swim at night.
Right.
You know, there were 10-minute increments. And when it came out, there wasn't any toys at the time. There wasn't any tie-ins to it. And look how successful that was. I mean, that whole series, that G.I. Joe Resolute, to me, is the ultimate cartoon, storyline, everything. I mean, it told it, you know, pretty much from the offset. Snake Eyes was changed a little bit, even in that, you know. Yeah. Zartan shot his throat out.
Right.
You know, I mean, there was death in it. You had major characters dying. Major Blood got killed in the first 3 minutes. Wow. Bazooka was dead on the ship, on the flag. Storm Shadow got on the flag and killed Bazooka.
Dang.
But, yeah, so it's like that whole series it didn't have anything but the creators, the writers, and they done their thing. It was successful. So sometimes you can have successful stuff without having all these hands in the cookie jar, so to speak, you know, and that we've experienced with so many films, Marvel, DC, you know, even Transformers, even the first G.I. Joe live action movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of went belly up because there was just so much, you know, thrown into that one movie.
Yeah, so much thrown into it that it made it not what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of reeled it back in on the second one, though.
Yeah, that one was a whole lot better. Yeah,
that one was a whole lot better. So I'm eager to see what they do. I'm really eager with the Snake Eyes. I'm thrilled to see it.
Yeah, I saw the trailer like in between tickets at work, but I wasn't able to watch it with sound at the time. So I do want to go back and watch it on the first of all on my big screen, and then also with sound, see how that looks.
Right.
I'm cautiously optimistic. Like I know, like you said, there's a lot of people who are like, they messed it up already. But I'm like, okay, looking at this with new eyes now, I'm not coming into it the same way that I came into Transformers and X-Men and G.I. Joe. Like already, like that was old fanboy me looking like, oh,
right.
Single thing has to be exactly right. Now I'm like, okay, it's new. They redoing it. It can't be worse than Rise of Cobra. So, I was actually reading up on that today because me and you know Eric, right? He's Southern Command. So me and him are getting together for a plug for a new video coming out, y'all. But me and him are doing that same thing that I've been doing with the X-Men and Transformers movies, and he and I are going to tag team on the G.I. Joe films. So I'm just kind of reading up on it to see if there's anything that I've missed, and like just seeing how I just found out today that Channing Tatum was forced to do the movie.
Yes,
it was part of his 3-picture deal with Paramount, I guess. I think
that's correct. Yep, Paramount.
So, he was like, I grew up watching this. I don't want to taint it. I don't want to mess it up. They were like, yeah, nah, you don't do this, we're going to sue you. So I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I don't feel like I don't know who I would have picked for Duke. I really don't. Like, I don't know who would have been a better Duke. I just wouldn't have thought of Channing Tatum.
You know, as crazy as it seems, if you ever seen the Funny or Die video, Henry Rollins would have made a perfect Conrad Hauser.
You know what? That's right. I can see that. I can see that. Now it's funny. My reference for Henry Rollins is there was a PlayStation 2 game in the mid 2000s, Def Jam Fight for New York.
Yes.
That's my only reference for Henry Rollins. And so as soon as you said that, I thought of him. Like, yeah, that would work.
Yeah, he would have made a good Duke, but that the casting that had some people spot on.
Yeah.
You know, Storm Shadow spot on.
Yes.
I mean, Ray Park Snake Eyes. Come on there.
Yeah. I mean, he's gonna kill anything he does. Period. Yeah,
exactly. You know, and that brings me back to the new movie. I kind of got a little butthurt because to me they should have brought him to it, had the face accident and everything, but and then I got thinking, well, no, it's got to be a little different.
Yeah.
You know, because to me, Snake Eyes was always an outsider that was brought into the Rashikaji clan.
Right.
You know, but I'm seeing now, this gentleman that's doing it now is supposed to be Korean. They're Japanese, so he's still an outsider.
Yeah.
You know, but then with Hama really on board with it,
yeah,
I'm kind of optimistic. So
yeah, same. Like knowing that he wasn't just a consultant on it, but that he really is kind of putting his stamp on it. I guess I'm like, okay, right. I gotta. If he's approving of it and not just kind of brought in on the side, then I'm like, okay, then I'm willing to give this a chance.
Yep, that's how I am as well. So, and it's supposed to lay down the forefront to a whole new series of G.I. Joe movies.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be like the origin story, but it's not just the origin of him, it's the origin of the Baroness, the origin of Scarlet, so, I mean, this more than just evolves around him, so I'm really eager to see it now.
Yeah, and that's really how the comic was in the first place. Like, Snake Eyes was almost like, to use a sports analogy, if you will, he was almost like the point guard for the whole thing. Like, it's all of the story runs through him. Like you said, the Baroness's backstory runs through him. Cobra Commander's backstory runs through.
Right.
Storm Shadow and Stalker's story runs through him. So it's just like
exactly right.
A character. Whereas you go to the cartoon, he's almost not quite, but almost a side character. Like I don't think you ever see him and Storm Shadow in the same frame in the cartoon.
No, you rarely see them in the same frame. You've seen him with Duke a lot.
Yeah.
You've seen him with Shipwreck,
Yeah.
when they were dressed up like Culture Club. And
yes.
But again, you had a different parallel, different universe, different timeline, and it works. It works,
Gotcha. Circling back to costuming again, we were talking about, G.I. Joe and costuming. I think one of my favorites of yours is that Eco Warriors Flint. What made you go for that version of Flint?
Well, the reason I went with the Eco Warriors is no one had done it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be original with it. And when they came out with I think it was the 2014 convention set that had the zombies versus, the Eco Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just, I was like, yeah, I got to do that. and then Lynn and Amy built the helmet for me. Yeah. I was the first person, I guess I'm the only person having Eco Warriors Flint helmet.
There you go.
So it was really, really, it was a really neat costume to do. It took some time to get all the materials together and everything, but it was really fun to put that whole costume together. It's got really good reception since I've went to Dragon Con with it the one year that Reese didn't get to walk in the parade, and I took her spot in the parade for her. It's really neat. I really like it. Even Bill Ratner sent a tweet out talking about the uniqueness of it. So that was really neat to have the original Flint actually say something about, something that I created. So it was that's the reason I came out with it, because I want, everyone had done Flint, the regular beret with the shotgun version. A lot of people in our garrison have done the cartoon version, the comic version, the Tiger Force version, the Resolute version, and no one did the Eco Warriors.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's always a big motivation for me. Like I'm not upset if somebody beats me to it, but there are certain things where I'm like, nobody's gone over here yet. Let me do that.
Right. Exactly.
Somebody's beating me to I saw a good Night Creeper the other day, so I saved a picture of it. But I want to do not the comic Night Creeper leader, but the deep version of Night Creeper leader. You know how he basically was just
yes.
The comic isn't. He's not dressed like the rest of the Night Creepers, whereas in the cartoon he is. So that idea has been on the back burner for ages. I'm gonna get to it at some point, but like that's been in my head since at least like 2013 or so.
Right.
So
I like that version. In the DIC cartoon, I know it catches a lot of flack, but man, there were some really cool characters in it.
True.
Just like your Snake Eyes. That Snake Eyes, to me, the blue and the black with they say the hockey mask Snake Eyes, but with the red visor. To me, that thing is just, I love that Snake Eyes. It got away from the all black. We were kind of brainwashed in the 11 from 82. It was just, to me, that added depth to his character.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that you love that one, because like that, I actually had that toy. I think that was my first Snake Eyes toy. Well, actually, my only Snake Eyes toy that I had. I had the black and blue one, like you said. And I think like a lot of people, I went through a love-hate relationship with that era of G.I. Joe. Like I loved it as a kid, but then as an adult, I was like, why did they go to all this? Like you said before, it started so close to what was actually legit military, and it surely got over into this, like all these loud colors and looking off. G.I. Joe was always slightly futuristic, but it went way futuristic at that point. And I think that's when a lot of people fell off. So I kind of had my moments where I didn't like it. So I liked that Snake Eyes, then I hated it, then I loved it again. And I was like, you know what? I got to do it. Why not? Let's go for it.
Well, a lot of you got to consider that was the early 90s.
Yeah.
Look at all the fluorescent and the day glow stuff that was prominent then.
Yeah.
We had body glove clothing that would change colors and be bright. And, you had all that. I mean, it was just, to me, it fit with the era. A lot of people don't like it still. But, like, one character that I want to do next is I want to do the Night Vulture.
Ooh, yes. Because he was the one that, what was it? The
had the hang glider.
Hang gliders, yes.
Yes, and then I thought about doing Night Vulture and then doing like Reese, like a Cloudburst.
Yes.
Yes. And then us making the gliders too. I thought that would be really, really cool.
Y'all heard it here first. This is happening. Oh man. See now I can't wait to see it. I don't know.
We've been tossing that idea up. So. And then you got another costume that I want to do. I really want to do is of course I've did the 86 General Hawk. I want to do the 91 General Hawk with the glasses, in the folding cap. I want to do that one with the gold 357 with the scope on it. To me, that was it was cool. It was kind of a revision of the 86.
That's the one that had the jetpack on it, right?
No, that was the same year as the jetpack, but it was actually the electronic backpack that made the battle sounds.
Oh, the Sonic fighters.
Sonic, yep.
Okay. Because I don't know if I'm actually going to do this, but if I were to ever do General Hawk, because I have this weird connection to General Hawk, because I call him my cousin because we had the same last name.
Right.
And that's the only General Hawk figure I had. I actually had the jetpack one.
I love that figure because it had the same like head as the '86 model.
So I might do it. Maybe, I don't know. I'll go back and forth whether or not I actually want to pull the trigger on that one, but it might happen at some point.
Yeah, that would be a good one to do. Another one that I like, and a lot of people you really don't see, I want to do Doc. I want to do 83 Doc.
Yes. You know what?
I mean,
Doc, and I think me and you gonna flip flop. So one of the ones I want to do is, Ghost Rider.
Yes.
The Phantom X-19.
The X-19. Yeah.
So on this note, I love that you did. I was trying not to bring up what I'm talking about, but I love that you did Hardball.
Right. I love Hardball. I love Hardball as a character because when I was in high school, I played baseball. And I just, grew up a Braves fan and stuff. And so I've always loved Hardball as a character.
Yeah.
I loved Hardball. To me, he was just awesome. The file card was awesome. Him having the multi-shot grenade launcher was awesome. I loved him in the comic. He didn't get much playtime in the DIC cartoon, but
was he even in there? I don't think I ever saw him in there.
He was in 1 or 2 episodes of it.
Wow.
Yep. He was in 1 or 2 episodes of it. But I love the fact that Hardball, it was almost like he was a baseball player, and then of course got drafted to G.I. Joe. But I love that character. He was just so cool to me as a kid. I loved the figure. And then when I got the chance to do that cosplay, I said, I'm going to pull the trigger with it. I'm going to do Hardball.
Yes.
Caught some flack for it a little bit, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, I think you were fine with that because, you and I agree on this. Like, cosplay is like you don't have to look like the character to do it.
No.
Like, I mean, there are probably certain things that certain people probably shouldn't touch for like various reasons. Like, I think there are people who don't want Pocahontas done anymore just because like I think it got to the point where it really was offensive. So I'm like, unless it's a case like that, I'm like,
right,
anybody can do anything. Like, unless a large group of people come out and say, yes, this is offensive to us, go for it. Like when people bring up can a white person or Asian person do Black Panther, I say, heck yeah, do it. Just don't brown your skin. Just go for it. Because I feel like if a little white boy wants to dress up as Black Panther, that just lets me know just how much. So it lets me further know how awesome Black Panther is. That somebody that the character was not designed for still thinks the character is awesome.
Oh, the character, that's one of the best Marvel movies ever made.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of, helping make that movie, and it was just, that movie, to me, stood alone in the Marvel universe.
Right.
I mean, it raised the bar. If you think about it, I mean, look at all the stuff with Denai in it, and it was a really, really good produced movie. I mean, they knocked it out of the park with that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It's like Reese doing the Spirit.
Yeah.
She caught a little flack about that, but at the end of the day, cosplaying is to have fun.
Exactly.
You don't have to be the exact color. Like you and your Psylocke. I love your Psylocke.
Thank you.
How I'm about your Zazzy Beats Domino.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I love it. When you can gender bend and you can cross those lines and you can be creative with not only the costume, but you being the character. That's what it's all about, And for the most part, the cosplay community embraces that, They welcome it. They're like, yeah, look, there's Hardball. Check that out.
Right.
He's got it spot on. So.
Yeah. And I'm glad. Another reason I'm glad you did it, because like I'm pretty sure you've seen like when those of us who are African American cosplayers, we always get pigeonholed into this character, that character. Like any Black female cosplayer out there, everybody's like, oh, you should do Storm, and she's probably like, You know how many times I've heard that? You know how many times I've heard I should
be Jean Grey.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, first of all, you killed Hardball. First of all, you knocked that out the park.
I appreciate it.
Pun fully intended with that. But I was like, yeah, because I'm not doing because like people will say, oh, you should do Hardball, you should do Alpine, you should do Big Lob. I'm not doing Big Lob. No.
Now I've got pretty much everything to do Alpine now.
Get it?
Because I loved Alpine.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, as a kid, him yodeling and cutting up with bazooka and everything, to me, that was just cool, you know? So I love the character Alpine, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger for that for Dragon Con.
Get it? Yes. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it, man. What else was I gonna say? Trying to think of who else is on my. No, I think that's it. If I Ghost Rider, Night Creeper Leader. I think I've ran out. I think that's it. If I might do Armored Cobra Commander at some point, but that'll be that's way down the line. That's way, because you know I'm never gonna run out of ideas. I just ain't got enough time, money, and storage space, pretty much.
Oh yeah. You know, and that's the thing about it. A lot of people think, you know, I don't see why it takes so long, but you know, putting these costumes together and trying to get them authentic as possible. Yeah. You know, it takes a lot of work. Like that Deathstroke costume, I've revised it 3 different times now. I mean, I've got it to almost to the T of what the Deathstroke comic is now. Yeah. So,
you done? Did I miss this? You did Deathstroke?
The Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, how did you do Deathstroke and I missed it? Like, I'm like, I suck as a friend. How did I not know you did Deathstroke? But you were saying Deathstroke. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, Deathstroke.
Yeah. I saw you in person in that one too.
Right. Yeah. So that I've got that one revised for the 3rd time. You know, you keep evolving it. You know, like your first Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's the way you've got that costume now is just, you know, complete badass. You know.
Thank you.
I mean, it looks great.
Yeah, so it has come a long way, man.
You know, like Reese's Don Marino. You know, when I first did Don Marino, you know, we had limited resources because, like, the comic had only came out like 4 weeks before I put that costume together.
Right.
And then now I've got pretty much the Arashikaji symbol with the sword holder and everything. Yeah. I've got it spot on to what it's supposed to be now. But, you know, at first, I mean, I was just kind of throwing darts at trying to get it right. So.
But yeah, you brought up a good point. A lot of people don't realize what goes into all of this. Like, and you know how I do with these videos. I like being able to show people that, you know, we're not just sitting at home doing costumes all day. We're not these people. Like, you got a full-fledged career. You got kids. One of them, what Tristan is in. What is he in the military?
He's in the Air Force. Yeah, he's in the Air Force now.
He's in the Air Force. Reese is what? She's not in high school yet, is she?
She'll be in high school this coming up fall. She's in 8th grade now. She's almost done with 8th grade.
Wonderful. So yeah, like, you don't you don't have crap tons of free time. No. I mean, there are some cosplayers and costumers who do have tons of free time, but a lot of us don't. We don't have disposable time, disposable money, disposable space to put all this stuff. Like, you
know, and then, like, okay, look at resourcing, doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're hitting craft shops, you're hitting military stores, you're hitting eBay, you're hitting Etsy, you're hitting all this stuff trying to, you know, put this thing together. You know, then you have to find seamstress. Mm-hmm. You have to find, you know, like when we was doing the visor for Don Marino and you was doing the visor for Snake Eyes, you're trying to figure out, oh man, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make this thing red tinted, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's, you know, you have to come up with all these different scenarios that you put a lot of time into it, more so than you think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been nights I've been up 2-3 o'clock in the morning working on stuff for Reese, you know, lose track of time. It's like, oh man, I got to be at work in a couple hours, you know? So.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, ultimately, I ignore this when it happens. It hasn't happened to me a whole lot, but I know a lot of people who've had this happen way too often. They're like, that's why it stings so much when you do all this work on something and you post it just for some random person to be like, that's not accurate. That's on the wrong side. That's the wrong shade of red. Like, first of all, like, nobody asked you.
Well, you know, it's like Reese's spirit, you know.
Yeah.
We always try to put the Southern Command patch on because she's proud of y'all's garrison.
Yeah.
You know, she's really, really takes a lot of pride in, you know, in the finest in the Southern Command with Rebecca, Noel, and you. And she really, really takes that to heart and raising money for K9 for Warriors. But she wants that patch on her costume somewhere.
Right.
So, you know, for her spirit costume, instead of having the tomahawk on the right shoulder, we had the, you know, the Southern Command logo on it.
Yeah.
You know, of course, we had the, you know, the sergeant stripes on the left side like it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I actually had the tomahawk, you know, the Apache logo, but she didn't want it. She wanted the Southern Command. First thing people start saying, well, that ain't the right patch. It's like, come on.
Like, you can focus on that one little thing.
Right. If it was good enough for her cosplay group, why ain't it good enough for the public? But it's like what you say. It's you got certain people that want to nitpick, and they've probably never cosplayed in their life, to be honest with you.
It's that's 9 times out of 9.5. That's the case. Like somebody who ain't never done it before, somebody who does not participate in it at all, someone who's just scrolling by and looking at it, and they don't see none of this awesomeness. They look at that one little thing. Yeah, that's not right.
That one detail. That's all it takes.
All right, well, you do it then. You do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll wait.
Yeah. Go ahead and make it costume.
You're not gonna do it? Cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and it's.
But overall, the community is really, really great. You know, I've met a lot of your friends. You know, Bianca, you know, she's been really cool. You know, I've talked to her about, you know, stuff and everything. And it's really, really neat of all the people from different genres and everything that you meet from.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I love that it brings so many cultures, so many backgrounds together. Because, like, despite people from both sides that would say that geekery only belongs to one race or the other, like it crosses those lines. It brings us all together. Like we all get to put all of that craziness aside and enjoy that, you know. And it helps us, you know, when we're open-minded enough and we actually get to sit down and talk, we actually get to see those other perspectives, because now we've broken that ice because of G.I. Joe. We've broken that ice because of Transformers.
Oh yeah.
And now we get to talk and actually see each other's sides of things. So, like, yeah, it can be ugly sometimes, but it can also be so very beautiful and lovely, you know.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, sorry to get sentimental on y'all, but that's how it is. And I think that's what we all love about our favorite event, Dragon Con. Though it's like because I think you said that's where you started at as far as costuming, right?
Started costuming, at Dragon Con because Reese wanted me to walk the first year in the parade. You know, she went with Chuck and them, and they've taken Chuck and Cindy Pierce are phenomenal people, phenomenal cosplayers. Shout out to them.
Yeah,
they've really taken Reese under their wing, and you know, and took pride in her and what she does. But she wanted me to walk with her, so that's when I started cosplaying with her, and then it went from that to we got into the DC cosplay, her being Harley Quinn and me being Deathstroke, and it's kind of elevated from that. So I really enjoy it. You know, we went to Joe Fest, we went to Joe Atlanta, we went to Atlanta Comic Con. I mean, we've done a lot of different events and stuff. I went to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta for Heroes Villains Day and did the Deathstroke through there. And, you know, when a kid sees you in costume and they love it and want a picture with you, you can't beat that. I mean, that's a good feeling. You know, it's awesome. You know, and Tristan wore my Deathstroke outfit at Dragon Con.
Because he's probably that tall now, right? Shoot.
Yeah, he's 6'2" now, so he wore it, and you know, kids were wanting to take pictures with him, and other guys, you know, bigger guys, want to take pictures with him because of how the costume is, and that was really neat. You know, it was a really neat experience, and he really enjoyed it. And it's like I said, it's a family thing, it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a race, it's not a gender, it's not a color, it's not a creed. It's just an awesome community.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing I really and truly love about it.
Amen to that, man. So Don, before we get out of here, man, what would you, if you could say anything to people out there who are wanting to get into cosplay but haven't done it yet, want to get involved with that at all, what would you say to people who, what would you say to someone who just been wanting to do it but haven't got into it yet?
Take that leap of faith. Just do it. It's fun. You don't realize it. You don't realize how fun it is, how awesome it is. Just do it. Take that leap. Pick you a character. Like I said, if you wanted to be Gambit, if you want to be Jean Grey, you know, and you're a 50-year-old man or a 13-year-old girl, just do it. You know, because it's awesome. It's an awesome community. It's an awesome experience. You know, go to a local show first if you want to get a feel for it. You know, Atlanta Comic Con's always a great one to go to, or you know, there's different ones. You know, Free Comic Book Day. Yeah. Each year, Free Comic Book Days. Right. Yeah, we've done what, 2 or 3 Free Comic Book Days already, and you know, it's just get a feel for it. Costume don't have to be exact. I mean, you know, just have fun with it. That's the main thing. Have fun, enjoy it. You know, if you're sitting in traffic and you got face paint on and you look at the person next to you, just smile. That's all you got to do, smile.
Man, some people will do that. Y'all braver than me, because I'm that person. I wait till I'll put on as much as I can without making myself look crazy, and then put on the rest when I get there. I did have to do face paint once. When I shot my domino, because I did a shoot with a friend she did a Lady Deadpool. Right. Yep, I seen that. Yep. I wasn't going to be able to put the face paint on where we were, because we were doing it like this parking deck down in downtown Atlanta. So I was like, yeah, I kind of have to put this on now. Fortunately, it was a short walk between my door and the car, but I'm just like, man, somebody gonna see me at a light and think I look crazy. And there's people who get on MARTA in costume. I can't, because I'm still an introvert that doesn't like to be the center of attention. Right. That's why I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting on MARTA with this. But that's just me. There's some of y'all brave, man. I can't do it. Well, we went to the Taco Mac at Dragon Con, you know, on the side right there. Yeah. I walked in, I had on the Deathstroke outfit, and then when I took the mask off, you know, I had the silver in my hair and I had the patch on, so I looked just like Slade Wilson. So when I took it off, everybody was like, yeah, this cat's here pretty authentic. So right. It was pretty neat. But it's like I said, if you're thinking about getting into it, if you're hesitant at all, don't be. You know, and the thing about it is, they can watch these videos and listen to me and you now. It's a welcoming community. Yeah. It really is. You know, we embrace everybody into it. You know, if you want to be a ghost and cut 2 holes in a bed sheet, put it on top of you, then by God, do it. You know? Exactly. Y'all, just like Don said, you know, whether in this video or other ones, you guys have heard me talk about some of the negative and the nasty, but yes, it happens. Yes, you have to look out for it. Yes, you have to learn how to deal with it. But that is, so the good far outweighs the bad. Like Don said, like it's a beautiful thing. It's a fun thing. It creates this is our second family. You know, this is part of our lives now. You know, it ain't our whole lives, but it's part of our lives now. So yes, the good does far outweigh the bad. It's a beautiful thing. Come join us. We will personally welcome you into this. We love it that much. So yeah, Don, Love you, brother. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on this.
Myron, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I love what you do. I love the awareness you're bringing to our beloved fandom. And man, thank you for everything.
No problem, man. Hey, I do what I can, man. I appreciate that you appreciate it. But yeah, y'all have a good night. Y'all have. Oh, wait. Where can they find you at, Don? If anybody wants to come see your work, if anybody wants to admire what you've done, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Don Mosley, Mosley, or you can find me on Twitter at Donald Mosley 88.
Cool. And check in a lot of Marvel movies lately. Look for him in the credits. He's in there. Y'all go find him. He big hand in a lot of awesomeness that you have probably seen on the big screen. If you didn't already pick up on it from the interview, he's involved in all of that. So yes, y'all go follow Don wherever you can find him. Y'all good luck on your cosplay builds. Have a good night. Have fun at whatever con you're going to next. Please be safe. I know CDC done said you can not wear a mask if you've been vaccinated. Whatever you do, y'all, just be safe. We want to have fun, but I want y'all to be alive too. So, and I want to be able to see y'all at whatever con that's whenever it's, safe to do everything. Anyway, I'm rambling. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see y'all at the next video. Peace.